Okay, so what's happening is this, whatever it is, it's getting into the brain, it's overproducing dopamine or whatever.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking like it's like a superhero thing. I mean, right? You're kind of think you're invincible, or I'm just trying to understand, and you're doing things that are contrary to survival, maybe potentially.
The more we learned about toxo and how it kept popping up in the literature, and there was a really cool hyena study, which was the first one in the wild, showing that it affected their behavior, we just started to wonder more and more if it was affecting wolf behavior. And we're able to watch them so often in Yellowstone that we can get really cool detailed behavior and see where they move and how they act with each other. And then because we capture wolves here every year to put radio collars on, we had this whole bank of samples from them that we could go through and actually test. That's when we found out that actually quite a few of them have it.
So it's a parasite. What is it exactly? And it's a single cell organism that we don't know how it what is it exactly?
So Toxoplasma gondii, it's a single-celled protozoan parasite. It's something incredibly tiny. It's not like a tick or tapeworm or something like that. It's more kind of on par with something like a virus, although that's not quite it either. It has, multiple life cycles, and it needs multiple hosts to really be able to complete its life cycle. And so if we, just kind of follow the path of the parasite, we can start in an infected house cat. If the house cat gets infected, every time that it defecates for about 2 weeks that it was infected, it's going to shed millions of this form of a parasite called an oocyst, which is similar to an egg. So if, that's in a litter box, or if that's just kind of out in your garden or something like that, if a mouse kind of, scurrying around in your garden accidentally ingest some of these oocysts, which I kind of refer to them as eggs, but they are incredibly tiny. They're less than 1/5 the width of human hair. So it's absolutely an accident if something ingests some of these. And if it ingests that, the oocyst is going to go into the stomach, and then the parasite itself is going to actually cross the gut lining and spread to that animal's muscle tissue, and then get all the way up to the brain. And in the brain is where we think that the parasite is really, working its magic, where it kind of insists on the brain and is able to mess with hormone levels. And so a lot of, lab research on this topic, especially in mice and rats, has shown that Toxoplasma gondii infection is linked to increases in dopamine and testosterone production. That can cause all sorts of different behavioral changes, right? And so for something like a mouse, that can kind of be shown as going into like open areas during the day, which if you're a mouse, you really don't want to do that, because that could be when other predators are out. It can also be decreased neophobia, which is a decreased fear of new things. And so if you're more likely to approach novel objects, I mean, that could be a mousetrap, that could be anything really. If you're more likely to approach that, then the odds are that you're more likely to get killed. When we're talking about risk taking, there's all sorts of different ways to measure risk. And it seems like it's easiest to think about like humans, like what do we find as risk taking? And there's some literature looking at toxo infection in humans, which can be pretty controversial, just because how do you actually control for all sorts of different behaviors? How do you control for different life experience that can cause behavior? And so there has been some research that looks at toxo infection and, increased risk of car accidents, increased risk of motorcycle accidents. In men specifically, it can be increased aggression or anger levels, depending on some psychological tests that I don't totally understand. But there has definitely been some behavior change in humans linked to toxo infection. And, we can kind of scale that down as well to different animals and what's risky for an animal. But without being them, we don't know how they measure risk.
So you guys are talking about this in your office in Yellowstone, and Kira, you're out studying these wolf packs all the time. Now, the wolf was reintroduced in Yellowstone how many years ago?
Reintroduction was in 1995 and 1996. So it's almost 3 decades now that they've been here. And we're putting out collars every year. So getting a lot of blood samples that we can see how many of them tested positive for toxo or not.
So you have this blood bank somewhere, and you can go all the way back to the beginning. So do you test the ones, where did the wolves come from? Did they come from Canada?
Yeah, the first year in 1995, they came from Hinton, Alberta. And then the next year, they came from British Columbia, not too far apart from each other. So two different places in Canada. And actually, none of the wolves that were captured and brought to Yellowstone tested positive. It was a few years living here before we got positive samples. We think that is probably because during wolf reintroduction, the cougar population, the mountain lions here in Yellowstone, were naturally recolonizing the area. They'd been mostly killed out in the early 20th century, and it took until about the 80s for them to start building up in numbers that we see now, which is 25 to 35 or so just in the northern part of Yellowstone. And with the increase in cougars, the toxo's definitive host, it needs that feline digestive system in order to complete that life cycle, sexually reproduce. And we started seeing it pop up in the wolves in about 1999, 2000. And that number, so the seroprevalence of wolves having toxo in Yellowstone has been, in the 25 to 40% range in the last couple of decades, since it increased, or since it kind of sprang up with those cougars.
The initial infection, though, how does it go from cougar to wolf initially, or does it also travel through mice?
There's a couple different ways that the wolves could get it, and we're not exactly sure how, but we do know that the wolf packs that have their territories in areas with a lot of cougars, so kind of cougar hotspots in Yellowstone, have it the most. So we think they're probably getting it directly from cougars, or, as you say, another little animal that's not moving very far from those cougar hotspots. So they could get it from another intermediate host like a mouse. They could get it from killing and consuming a cougar, but that is very rare. We've only recorded that a few times. What we think is most likely is that the cougars that are infected are shedding those oocysts in the landscape, and the wolves happen to be traveling the same trails, the same areas, and actually running into cougar scat. And if anyone who's had a dog and a cat at the same time, a lot of times it's really hard to keep the dog out of the cat's litter box. And we think that's probably what's going on in the wild. So they're walking up to cougar scat, where they leave them, kind of a scent mark area, and either roll in it or lick in it or eat it directly.
So I always thought of the toxo as like a cat problem. I remember when we had a cat, it was like that. And so is it unusual that it's spreading to the wolves? Is that why? Is that what makes this kind of a really important study that you're working on? And also, how old is this bacteria? What is it? It's a
parasite.
Parasite. How far back does it track?
So, there's evidence that toxoplasma gondii has been co-evolving with cats and other, warm-blooded species for thousands of years. And so this parasite has had a long time to figure out, through natural selection and evolution, a long time to quote unquote figure out how to reproduce and how to be really good at it. As far as is it weird that it's getting in wolves? It doesn't seem, weird. I think that, looking into this, when we kind of started to have this idea and start to look into more of what other studies had found in wild populations, just as far as exposure goes, so seroprevalence, so having been exposed to this parasite, it depends on where you are. So if you were to go to black bears in Pennsylvania, I think there's a study that is 70 to 85% of black bears in Pennsylvania have been exposed to toxo. Same with elk or mule deer, white-tailed deer in certain ranges throughout the United States. And I think, a lot of that is likely just because of feral cat problems around the US and especially in the eastern US. But it can also be through bobcats. If you go up north, there's some studies that also look at toxo infection in wolves, and they link it back to Canada lynx kind of density. In areas where there's more Canada lynx, wolves are more likely to test positive for toxo. And so I think that it's not quite a surprise that wolves or animals in general are testing positive for toxo. But I think one of the things that for our study in particular that is really important and is really exciting is that this is, as far as we know, kind of only the second study in the world to look at the impacts of toxo infection on animal behavior in like a large carnivore. The first one was this Mara hyena project. Their study was published in 2021, and they found that spotted hyenas infected with toxo, hyena cubs were more likely to approach African lions, which, as you can expect, not super smart if you're a hyena cub. And then even older individuals that are positive for toxo were not more or less likely to approach lions, because when you're a hyena and you're competing with lions for food, whether or not you have toxo or not, you kind of have to approach them and, try to take over a food source from them, or, that just kind of happens.
So you guys have this idea, you get an inspiration from somewhere, you're discussing it. The first thing is you have to get permission to test the blood, which I imagine is, not the easiest thing in the world because there's not that much of it. And this is kind of an unusual idea. So how does that meeting go, the initial meeting to try and get permission to get the blood?
Yeah, so we have used some blood samples that we collect to make a whole pedigree, starting with those first wolves that were reintroduced almost 30 years ago, and kept all of the extra for different studies over the last couple of decades. And you're right, there are some wolves in our bank that might only have a little bit of blood left. And so it was a pretty careful decision. For this wolf, we have 3 vials left, so it's okay. It doesn't take very much blood to test for their positivity for toxo. And so that was at least helpful. It only takes a couple of drops. And so we were very careful to not use the very last bit of any one wolf's sample. So it was kind of a careful one by one going through each wolf saying we have enough of this one, because you're right, it was kind of a shot in the dark to see, what we would get out of the results. It might have come back that they were all negative, or maybe they were all positive. And so the pattern that we found for positivity was not only pretty fascinating, but following it up with how the wolves that were positive, how it changed their behavior later. So the ones that were positive were more likely to disperse and leave their pack, a very risky thing that a wolf may choose to do in its life. And then also becoming a pack leader, another thing that's very tied in with things like hormones and personality characteristics. And so it wasn't necessarily a surprise that some wolves had it. The surprising thing was how much it seemed to impact their behavior for the rest of their life.
Are you seeing male and female have the same, that same aggression or whatever, fearlessness?
Yeah, males and females seem to behave similarly, although dispersal, leaving a wolf's home pack, is much more common in males. So territories are passed down through the female line, usually from a mother to a daughter or an older sister to a younger sister. Males, if they want to have a leadership position, do have to leave and either start their own pack or join a different pack. But females can actually stay home their entire life and find leadership positions, kind of the next generation. And so being positive for toxo increased the likelihood of dispersal for both males and females, but females were less likely than males overall.
So, Kira, are you out in the woods every day observing wolves?
I kind of wish.
Okay, but is that because I imagine initially it comes back with, okay, these wolves are alive right now, let's go study their behavior, but how do you do that?
Yeah, so I started off as a technician here, so I was actually out in the field every single day watching some of the packs that are most visible in the northern part of Yellowstone, kind of between Gardner and Cook City, Montana, and collecting some really interesting behavior, some things that I might only see a handful of times a year, like fights between packs, and then also tracking where wolves go when they disperse, where they go when they do leave, which ones were the leaders of the pack, so kind of like the pack's social structure and hierarchy. And all of that information ended up pretty important to this study. My position now is a bit more research focused, so things like trying to brainstorm projects like this. And we have other people out in the field every single day that are fantastic, getting information on behavior, how wolves are treating each other, where they're moving, all stuff that's really important that we'll hopefully use to follow up this study as well. I still get out in the field sometimes, but not quite as often as I used to.
Did you get to observe wolf pack fights yourself?
I did. Yeah, that was the focus of my master's project. Fights between packs account for half of their mortality. And so it's a pretty important factor in their kind of social dynamics out there and their natural history, really. And I found it really fascinating. It can be hard to watch, but it's real. It's kind of like as visceral nature as it gets.
Gladiators or whatever.
How do you even know it's going to go on? Like, how do you know when to be out there? Do you just have to be out there every day?
It's kind of luck. There are certain times of the year where it's more likely to happen. We do most of our field work, most of our intense field work in the winter because the packs travel all together. The pups are big enough to be traveling with the pack. They're not kind of centered around one part of their territory. They're patrolling their territory boundary. And then also in the winter, it's just easier to see them because of the snow.
And the fighting, is that again between male and female or just, same sex fighting?
The fights are often a whole pack versus a whole pack. We've had times where a female wolf is killed from this pack and it was mostly driven by males from this pack. It seems like there's a little bit of a mob mentality that goes on there. During the breeding season, though, there is a little bit more leeway, it seems like, because occasionally wolves will be looking for breeding partners to maybe start a new pack with, and they'd be a little bit less likely to fight to kill each other. There's still kind of these conflicts that go on, but it's a little bit more likely that they will occasionally stop and socialize and kind of see if they meet one they like.
Did the packs get infected, though? I just want to go back to the toxo for a minute. So if one member of the pack gets it, how likely is that the whole pack will get it?
Because they're all traveling as a pack together and probably running into the same cougar scats, if they all are kind of rolling in it or eating it, which we do see, we've seen on our trail cameras before, I think that's where you kind of see the patterns where some packs are more likely to get it than others. The packs where they have very low seropositivity for toxo are places where there are not very many cougars at all. They can't really get it from each other, as far as I understand. There was one study on dogs where they were experimentally infected and indicated that it could possibly be sexually transmitted if it's an acute infection. I know Connor knows a little bit more about that. There's a lot more study that's needed on that aspect of it, though.
Do they pass it down to their children?
It doesn't seem like it, but that's only because toxo, if an animal, including a human, if they become infected, so they have that acute infection period while pregnant, it is extremely dangerous to the fetuses, and it will often cause miscarriages, and if not, some pretty extreme developmental problems. And so in the wild, we don't see any offspring because they die before we can count them. But for humans, that's where people often hear about this parasite, is because their doctor asked them, do you own a cat? If you do, don't change the litter box while you're pregnant. It is because of this parasite. Generally, people who become infected don't even know. They have a little bit of fatigue for a few weeks. They might feel a little bit run down, and then they move on. It becomes a chronic infection with those cysts in the brain affecting the hormones, but it doesn't really affect them in a way you think of true disease. But if they're pregnant, it can be extremely dangerous. So that is the advice from doctors, to not change the litter box.
So the wolves get reintroduced 30 years ago. How long does it take for them to establish themselves as packs and start to see the same behavior that you would see, that where they came from? As this behavior rises, how long does the complexity of their behaviors come back?
Yeah, so with the wolf reintroduction here, they tried to capture wolves up in Canada in family groups and bring them to Yellowstone. They actually put them in little acclimation pens, which were about an acre or two in size, for 8 to 10 weeks. And that was to try and let them calm down, quell their homing instinct a bit. And so they were released generally in these family groups already. So at least it wasn't strained wolves put together very often at all. And it seemed like, I wasn't here then. I came on a little bit later, but from what I've read and heard from the biologists who were here, it was pretty quickly that they kind of settled into establishing territories and making kills. Some packs a little bit quicker than others. They did kind of do large movements, kind of pretty far north, pretty far east of Yellowstone to try and see probably, are there other wolves? What's going on? How did we get here? But there were so many elk in Yellowstone. Elk numbers were at a historic high. It was kind of one of the reasons that wolves were brought back here, that this was a really great place to live as a wolf. And part of the purpose was to try and lower that elk population that had kind of gotten out of control. And so I think a lot of the packs realized pretty quickly, this is a pretty fantastic place to live, and established territories within a few months.
So, because you've tracked all these wolves for 30 years and when they got this parasite, when do you start to observe the differences in their behavior? Can you see it in the data right away when you're looking back?
So behavior, I think we found those patterns with wolves that dispersed more often and became pack leaders more often if they were infected. But when I look at a single wolf, and there are some that I have watched for their entire life, there's one right now who's 10 years old, who I watched as a tiny little pup when she was born in 2013. I would put her on the more bold end of that spectrum. I do happen to know that she has toxo and has had toxo for most of her life. She is an incredible leader of the pack. She is fairly bold in the way that she travels and hunts with the pack still, even though she's really elderly at this point. But it's tough because wolves are very smart and very complex species, much like humans. And I don't think that there's one single thing that would explain all of their behavior. And then we also see personality differences between the wolves too. There are some that happen to be shy, or some that happen to be bold, or more gregarious, or more, wanting to be off by themselves. And so we find patterns with this, but whenever I watch a wolf, I'm having this in the back of my mind, but I think it's really tied into things like personality. And maybe in all these studies that we've done over the years where we try to account for personality differences, it may be that toxo has been kind of wrapped up in that variable in all of our studies. It'd be nice if we could kind of tease that apart, which I think we've been able to do a bit with this study, with dispersing and becoming a leader. But other things, it becomes really hard because wolves learn from each other. And so anything that a wolf can learn from its packmate, like where to cross the road or how to go across the thermal area, because there's a lot of these geysers and heat spots in Yellowstone that they have to avoid, how to hunt, how to avoid people, all of those things they can learn from each other is really just socially mediated learning, which is another word for culture. And so there's personality that's at the individual level. And then there's this really cool aspect of packmates teaching each other things that's also very hard to control for, also a thing that we do as humans.
Now, the parasite's goal is just to replicate. And in order to replicate, it needs to be back in the cat's body, in the cougar's body, right? So if you're a mouse and you have this parasite, you might just not fear the cat at all, go out and, in the field and just sit there and the cat eats you. In this example with the wolves, there's two kind of ones that we've talked about. One is that you might go and form a new pack, or you might be the leader of your pack, right? So how does that help the parasite to replicate?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something that we've thought about a lot, and especially thinking about how if the only thing that you know from this paper is wolves that are positive for toxo are more likely to become leaders, it's really easy to think oh, well, this is not a parasite, it's a benefit where they're just able to become leaders, they breed, But I think that it's important to think about, we didn't necessarily test for the effects of toxo on wolf survival. So we don't know, yes, they might become a leader, but maybe they're only a leader for 2 months and then they die, or then they get kicked out or something like that. The same way that, wolves that are positive for toxo are more likely to disperse. Dispersal is one of the most dangerous things a wolf can do, because it's a pack animal that for anywhere for a couple days, couple weeks, couple months is alone. And so if it runs into another pack that is not friendly, it can be killed. Or if it's because it's dispersing, maybe it's going to be like crossing roads more often and it can be hit by a car or run into a person when there's a hunting season. And so I think that there's a little part of that is not necessarily just the parasite doesn't just benefit wolves. But to get back to your question, I think it's important to also think about it in a evolutionary context. So this parasite's been evolving with mammals, with warm-blooded species for thousands of years. And so if we were to look back at North America or look at Yellowstone thousands of years ago, you would have had gray wolves just like we have now, but you also would have had the North American lion or the cave lion. And so in that case, even though right now we don't see wolves being killed by mountain lions really at all in Yellowstone, we've never recorded it since their introduction. If you were to go back, then you would see essentially an African lion type thing in North America. And if that's the case, then that animal would pose a big risk to wolves. And so especially if you're a wolf in a pack going against a pride of North American lions, maybe your odds of getting killed aren't that high. But if we look at hyenas, that is the case. So, you have a clan of hyenas and you have a pride of lions, and lions is one of the leading cause of death for hyenas. And so I think if we kind of go back in time, we can almost see that same system that we currently see in Africa. We would have seen it here in North America. And so the way that the parasite may be manipulating or is manipulating wolves is almost a remnant of when, if the parasite is, let's anthropomorphize it a little bit, if it's like trying to have wolves go off on their own in this dispersal, maybe in the past that would have increased their risk of running into a North American lion, getting killed by that lion, consumed by that lion, and then that lion becomes infected. And so we can even, see that for humans too, where traditionally, and still in many areas of the world today, big cats are a cause of death for humans. And so, because of this evolutionary history, maybe we can say that the reason that the parasite is still affecting human behavior now is because of this in the past, where, humans act a little more recklessly. And so in these areas where, big cats are a leading cause of death or a cause of death for humans, maybe that's why the parasite kind of makes them act that way. And so for wolves, it's kind of the same thing.
We're not going to be reintroducing lions into Yellowstone anytime soon, are we?
Not that I know of.
So we have these two behaviors that we see, and we think of the parasite as driving it towards, at least when I hear about the parasite, I think about the zombie behavior of ants, where they basically die, and then that's how it gets spread. Do we really understand yet what the behavioral aspects are of what it can do? Because those are obvious, but are there other more subtle things that, it's too hard to tease it out, but we may have a thought about what it might be?
I think with toxo, it's something where, I just in talking to some other folks and in reading about it, it doesn't seem like with toxo, like if I don't know if I'm infected with toxo, but like, let's say I'm not, tomorrow I go gardening, don't wash the, peppers I get, and there's some toxo on them, consume that, become infected. It's not like in 3 days I'm going to buy a motorcycle and start speeding. And so it seems like it's a little bit of toxo kind of nudges behaviors a little bit. And so, looking at our research where, yes, wolves infected with toxo were more likely to disperse and more likely to become pack leaders, it doesn't mean that's the only way. So wolves that were negative for toxo would still disperse and would still become pack leaders. They might just do it on a longer time scale. So they might need to live longer to be able to show those behaviors. Whereas it seems like with wolves in Yellowstone, toxo accelerated that process. And so I think about it a little bit like it's not toxo, it wouldn't necessarily be changing your behavior, but maybe it's just amplifying it a little bit. And there's been some research on humans and human psychiatry and human behavior where certain individuals that are more prone to like anger outbursts, if they have toxo, it just amplifies it a little bit. And so I think that you're totally right. It is really hard in general for us to tease any of these things apart, but I do think that we can look at how testosterone just affects humans. We can look at how dopamine affects humans. And so we can kind of extrapolate a little bit about how those two things in themselves could, if they are, amplified just a little bit. I think it's like toxo-infected mouse produces like 114% of dopamine. So it's not a lot, but it's just enough to maybe have some of these behaviors. And, there's all sorts of research that I think is maybe a little like trying to sensationalize it a little bit, especially like there's a number of research that's come out in the last couple of years on toxo in college campuses where like individuals who are infected with toxo, they have, a series of college students rate like attractiveness just by looking at a headshot. And like individuals with toxo tend to have a more symmetrical face. So they're tended to be more attractive. I don't know.
We don't want to spread that idea.
I want to ask
We
you
don't
a
want to
question.
spread
That's
that
okay.
idea. Otherwise we'll get,
No, we don't, but
the
I want to ask you
Kardashians
a
into it
question.
immediately,
No, yes, exactly. But before we go there, how prevalent is screening in humans, for toxo, and how much of the population is running around with it? I can name a few people who won't name names who seem to have like an overabundance of toxo in their system, toxic. But the question is, do we screen for it? Is it something? I know you talked about, you're true. I remember when I was pregnant, they're like, don't go near a cat litter. But is it in there and we just don't know it? Are we the zombies that Jesse was talking about?
From what we've read, the seropositivity across the globe is anywhere from 10% to 90%. And there are some of these interesting hotspots. I think France is a hotspot. I'm not sure. That's maybe like feral cat related, because that is spread a lot then and a lot of overlap with humans. And then there was one city somewhere near Vancouver, I believe, that a mountain lion somehow got into the wastewater facility treatment area and defecated in the water. And it was like more than half or 2/3 of the town became positive. So when it pops up in these places, there can be kind of interesting hotspots. I think the average for the globe, from what I've heard, is about 30%, 30 to 40% positivity. So it is likely that, one of us sitting here on this call has it, just based on percentages. I would love to know if I have it or not. We've talked about a lot whether we should get ourselves tested, but I don't think that screening is very common except for specific studies, for specific researchers trying to find patterns or look at correlations in people. Because even the people who I've talked to that have been pregnant, their doctor may ask them, if you have a cat, yes or no, or if you had one growing up. But I think then following it up with a test is not as common. They just kind of recommend, not changing the litter box or whatever based on the pregnant person's answers.
Do you treat it like with antibiotics or something? How do you treat it?
So there's some evidence that, and this kind of like gets beyond a little bit of exactly what my knowledge is, but there is some evidence that there's a link between toxo infection and actually like schizophrenia, because of increased dopamine levels is one of the causes apparently of schizophrenia. And so there are some treatments that with the same, drug combination or treatments that you would give to someone with schizophrenia actually does, I think, decrease maybe the size of the cysts or the number of cysts. And so I think it's a little bit of like, do we think that toxo causes schizophrenia because it's the same treatment can help with both? And, or, again, it's like if 30% of the world is on average is positive for toxo, then if you're doing a study just looking at a correlation between being toxo infected and possibly testing positive for schizophrenia, like what can you control for in other things that might cause something like schizophrenia? But that's the only treatment that I've really seen is the same thing that you would use to treat schizophrenia. I do think it's important to note too that like toxo for pregnant people for sure, but toxo is also a big problem for folks with HIV and AIDS because it decreases their immune system. And so that's where toxo, even if you have something that decreases your immune system or, you're immunosuppressed, then toxo can kind of take a hold and it can actually cause like fatal encephalitis, which is, swelling of the brain. Yeah. And so toxo is one of the top 3 leading foodborne illnesses in at least the United States or North America, because it is so prevalent. But generally it's not a huge issue because a lot of folks aren't immunocompromised, but for those that are, it is a very big problem. And so that's where you might see more testing. If maybe if you are for some reason immunosuppressed, you might be tested more to make sure that you don't have toxo, or if you do, they can treat it early.
Now, Connor, you said a few thousand years, but why wouldn't we think that this was a few million years old and sort of evolved at the same rate as the wolves themselves evolved?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I've only seen some studies tracing it back to, I think, 16 to 60,000 years. And I don't think there's any reason to think that it wouldn't be, further back, and maybe has just branched at certain points to actually be the Toxoplasma gondii that we see today. There is another parasite that is, kind of related to Toxoplasma gondii, that is its definitive host. Instead of being a felid, its definitive host is a canid, and that's Neospora caninum. We just don't know as much about that. And so I think that, yeah, if we were to trace back, we probably could see a lot of these similar parasites in other species. And I mean, we see this like multi-host life cycle is actually not super common for parasites, but there's a lot of examples of these parasites that manipulate their host so that they can be killed by the animal they need to get into. We see it with, there's a nematode that infects fish and will actually change the fish's behavior to go up towards the surface and flip around so that their shiny bellies are essentially flashing for birds. And a bird will come down and eat it. And then that nematode gets in the bird and is able to sexually reproduce and spread that way.
Okay, you're giving that so much credit. I just want to say, I've never heard of parasite giving. That's amazing to think about,
Yeah.
like a life of its own and a mind of its own.
Totally.
Wow.
Does it make you think that certain parts of this evolutionary biology, just of all things, requires something like this that pushes a species forward in some way that we don't really understand, and that in fact maybe there does have to be these symbiotic relationships in order for things to evolve?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm doing my dissertation with some disease and some parasite aspects to it. And I think that as I'm learning more, thinking about something like a parasite as inherently bad is just, it's kind of wrong. For us as humans, parasites cause like so much trouble and trauma and heartache for us within ourselves, with family, anybody who's ever been sick. But I think that when we think about, parasites, like there's no real difference between the relationship between a parasite and a host versus the relationship between a wolf and an elk, right? Like you can't say that one or the other is inherently bad. It's just kind of the way that life is. And so I think that once we start to learn more about the quote unquote little things, parasites, I think that we can see how everything comes together, and I think for humans, it's like looking at gut microbiota. Like we do need them to help our own gut system. And you can tell generally if your gut microbiome is messed up, if you just take a bunch of antibiotics and you don't, take yogurt or kefir or something to kind of help that or reintroduce like healthy gut bacteria, like you feel it. And so I do think that there is this idea of maybe thinking a little more about parasites aren't just inherently bad. They're just a part of the ecosystem, really. And that ecosystem can be, the world ecosystem, or it can be the ecosystem kind of within yourself.
It's like the complexity of these things. It's sort of the height of human intelligence that we've identified that there are these things, but to truly understand them is going to take many, many, many more generations. When you finish your dissertation, are you going to go back to Yellowstone?
I don't know. We'll see. I've got, 3 to any more than that years left until I finish. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to. I worked there for a while, and some of, the best people in the world are working there now. And so, yeah, I definitely love to keep that relationship going for sure.
Kira, I have a question for you. What is next for you in terms of like, what are you watching now and what are you concerned about now for the wolves?
Yeah, after we put out this paper, I was trying to decide what kind of my next big focus will be. And the leadership aspect, so those wolves becoming pack leaders, more likely if they were infected or not, really kind of piqued my interest. And so now I'm focusing on leadership in wolf packs and also pair bonds, and looking at some really cool things on how wolves choose their mate, how long they often stay together, how many mates a wolf might have in its life. It is indicating right now, as I'm looking through the data from the last almost 30 years, that mostly wolves do mate for life. And the only way that those pair bonds fall apart are if one of them dies. But there are a handful of divorces out there where wolves will just leave and go find new partners. And so divorce rates for wolves are much lower than for humans. But I've been finding this kind of pair bond idea really fascinating, especially as it relates to leading a pack. So that's kind of my next focus.
How many wolves are there now in Yellowstone?
There's between 90 and 100 adults, and we are just now counting the pups that were born a couple of months ago. They're finally up out of the den, kind of running around in the grass together every day. And we've counted 42 pups so far. There's a couple dens we haven't been able to see them at yet. And so they are doing really well. Last year, I think there were 108 at the end of the year. So we'll see how many we end up with by the end of the year. The really big pack, Junction Butte, they only had one pup, but they still have 22 adults. And so they're the ones that we watch the most often. And so they'll be our focus in the winter. They're led by that 10-year-old wolf with toxo that I was talking about.
Do they get bored of being observed? Do they not know they're being observed? Do they see the same people every day and just ignore them,
Yeah, some of the packs are a little bit more comfortable hearing human noise or traffic noise. Some of the packs are mostly in the backcountry and hardly ever see people. And those are the ones that we actually track from the small plane. So we'll fly over and they don't seem to mind the plane at all. We circle over, count them, take photos and go on. But most of the time from the ground, we are watching through a spotting scope or with binoculars from at least a kilometer or two, a mile, maybe a mile and a half away. And so I don't think that most of the time they really notice, although they have great hearing. So they can probably hear if someone slams a car door or yells or something. And so we try to stay really quiet so we're not disturbing them. We want to record natural behavior. So we're trying to be as unobtrusive as possible.
2 quick questions. What is the lifespan of a wolf, like approximately?
Yeah, on average, wolves here in Yellowstone, and those are the ones that are in a protected area, they aren't usually killed by humans very often. They will only live to be about 3.5 or 4 on average. It's a pretty rough life out there. Survival, only about 8 out of 10 survive through each calendar year. But we occasionally will have a really old one. The oldest one right now is 10. The oldest one we've ever recorded since 1995 was 12 and a half years old.
Okay. And my other question is for those of people that are going to be going to Yellowstone, what do you do if you see a wolf? Like, should you stay away? Like, what are you supposed to do? And particularly one that might be infected with toxo.
Yeah. So if you come and visit Yellowstone and you want to see wolves, good luck. They can be kind of tough to see. Winter is the best time of year, but people still come out and try and see them in the summer as well. They are probably the most timid and skittish large mammal in the park. And so if they see you or if you're too close, they will usually just run away. The park rule is that you do have to stay 100 yards away from all wolves and all bears. And that's less for like human safety than it is to just not disturb a very sensitive species like a wolf. Bears, it's a little bit more kind of human safety related. And as far as not getting toxo, if you're out about in Yellowstone and hiking, I just wouldn't pick up any scat that you find. Most people probably aren't doing that. Maybe Connor would do that occasionally, but more for work. And wash your hands if you're like in the dirt or touching any of that kind of stuff, as you would before you're eating, most times anyway.
Wow.
Are people respectful? Because it's like I've been watching all these people running up to bison lately. Like, are people running up to animals in the park and, getting gored and understandably?
Occasionally that does happen.
Yeah.
The bison are not afraid of people at all. And so they will be on the road or right next to the road. And I think that encourages people to treat them kind of like a horse or a cow or some domesticated animal. It is pretty busy right now. July and August are the busiest months in Yellowstone with the most visitors. And so I think people just get really excited and forget their kind of self-preservation and run up or get too close to animals or not notice when they're holding up their phone as they're inching closer and closer. And the bison sometimes don't put up with it. And so, yeah, it's always good to be cautious, especially of the large animals that can pretty easily hurt you if they want.
Do people run up to what's the bear with the 4 cubs? Do people run up to that bear?
Oh, Bear 399. She's down in Grand Teton National Park, a couple hours from up here. She had 4 cubs last year that were finally out on their own. She has a new cub this year, so just one. She has a whole brigade that follows her most days, and they try really hard to keep people, she has a huge following, a huge fan base. One of her daughters has cubs as well, and maybe even a granddaughter this year. And so, there's a whole group of people that are basically assigned to trying to manage the bear jam that follows 399 around.
Oh my God. Now, I don't want to know about the bear getting tox. That would be a whole other session. Like, in any more aggressive behavior. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. This is fantastic work you're doing, and it's fascinating to learn more about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. It's great to meet you both.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.